Cast.
Devil's on the loose and he's dancing with the mummy.
Wait a minute. Strike that, Gooby. Reverse it. Because you know as well as I do what this means. It's time for another episode of Macabre Cast.
Doc Mark and Chorus, the little mummy, here to bring you another episode of Macabre Cast, where we'll be dropping R's where they belong and adding them where they don't.
This is wonderful. I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas.
Well, Christmas is over. I hope your new year was bright, but now it's time to get back to the countdown for Halloween. I won't mention how many days because it's so far off it's depressing. And here we are in January, and as usual, winter hasn't even begun to show its teeth, and I'm not complaining. But we'll have snowstorms in April, completely messing up the morning commute, and melt by noon. Thanks for driving me home on New Year's, by the way, Karis.
No problem. Good thing I was here.
And thank you, Monster Kids, for joining us on the big New Year's show. Thank you so much for spending your time with us at Macabre Cast.
Oh, I see you had a birthday also, Dark, on January 2nd. Happy birthday.
Thank you, Karis. And thank you for everyone who did wish me a happy birthday out there. And just an update, that Nosferatu remake that we've been talking a lot about yesterday, well, we got a long wait because that release date is basically Christmas of 2024. So, kind of a ways off. Nosferatu! And I mentioned on the big New Year show about a New Year horror film, Terror Train, with Jamie Lee Curtis. I did not know they remade Terror Train, and I'm hearing positive things about it. This was in 2022, but I found out it is on Tubi, and I am going to have to check this out. Although I can't imagine liking it better, but some reports are it's a pretty decent remake, so I will check that out. Terror Train remake 2022 on Tubi. And I did see two new Christmas horror movies from the 80s that I had never seen before. It was on Joe Bob Briggs' last drive-in Creepy Christmas show. And the first was The Brain, which was cheesy. And it's fun when Joe Bob does it, but that movie was just awful. It was one long chase scene, basically. And the other film was The Gingerbread Man, another terrible movie that somehow they convinced Gary Busey to be in it, but I think it was later crazy Gary Busey that was in it, and he was probably in it for 30 seconds, and then supposedly he was the Gingerbread Man. But these movies were awful. But if you can catch them on the last drive-in, Creepy Christmas, it is a lot of fun. Have your friends over, have drinks, or, it was a good time.
Hey, Dark. It's time for Grim Facts.
Grim Facts.
Congratulations on 35 episodes. It was just wonderful. Velvet, thank you personally for the message. That so resonated with me. It really just made my heart happy to hear that. Thank you so much. Peace to you. I wish you all the best. And got me thinking, I'm like, I want a cool name like Velvet. Is Grim Kim good enough? I'm sitting here. Let me think up some nice textiles. Okay, I'm not going to go with the first thing that popped in my mind, which was Skin Kim. And I just can't. I know you know. I'm slap happy and it's not even New Year's. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on a couple things, which is, Larry, here on Infinity Pool, wasting all my damn time this year. Honest to God. I don't know if you've seen Neon Demons, but throw that in the mix too. And it was like, that wasn't a movie. That was some cinematographer who took a bunch of mushrooms and wanted to just, indulge himself. And I mean, my head was spinning and it wasn't in a good way. I love your recommendations. I love hearing your reviews, Larry, and I really admire how much you invest in watching things you haven't seen and exploring new things. I think that is fantastic. The Omen prequel? Yes, please. I am interested in that for sure. Two things yesterday. I haven't sat down and watched a movie in such a long time. I want to just throw these out while they're fresh. Number one, I watched Saltburn per my son, who's a horror fan. Okay, I enjoyed it. Barry Keoghan was in it. He reprised his role from, say the killing of a sacred deer. I mean, halfway through the movie, I'm like, okay, this is basically the same movie and the same character. But all right, okay, I'll go with it. So, a little was lost on me by the end because I already knew what the twist was going to be. But anyway, I'm interested to hear your takes on it if possible. And then I followed up with on Prime, Bones and All. Oh, it was fantastic. It was like a vampire movie, but so humanized and just about the human experience and feeling displaced in this world. And oh, it just left me with this sense of melancholy, and it was so well done. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to throw those out there to you. Mark? The fourth book in Different Seasons, which is one of the anthologies I got my son. It's my favorite one, actually, but I know it so well that I wanted him to explore. I think it's Cycle of the Werewolf, a.k.a. movie version Silver Bullet. I believe that is the fourth book of Different Seasons, and they're so good. Okay, I'm running long, so I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and peace to you. Peace through you, peace within you. See you in 2024. Love, Kim.
Okay, right out the gate, name change? I don't know. I think I'm the one that tagged you with Grim Kim, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, let's see. First, okay, let's discuss Different Seasons, because it's not Circle of the Werewolf, which became Silver Bullet. I did look back at my book, and the fourth story is called The Breathing Method. This is the only adaptation that hasn't been made, this is the only story that hasn't been adapted and made into a film. And I don't fully remember what the story was, but I know one thing, that a decapitated pregnant woman gives birth in it, and that's the big gross out or how horrible scene. Probably no one wanted to tackle that type of material. I hope you're listening to me, Eli Roth. This might be the movie for you, or maybe even Damien Leone, for that matter. As far as Saltburn, I've never even heard of this film. But Killing of the Sacred Deer, I was not a fan. Not that the overall twist or story wasn't good. That movie just frustrated me. It was just too frustrating to get there, so I don't think I would bother seeing Saltburn, if I'm saying that right, if that's what you had said, Saltburn. But back to Cycle of the Werewolf, also, I think that book came out like a graphic novel, kind of like the Creepshow book did, but not 100%. I'm sure there's someone out there that could set me straight and tell me what it was. But I hope your new year is bright, Grim Kim.
Boy, Grim Kim sure does appreciate Scary Larry and his reviews. Just hope he doesn't take over your show.
Oh, why do you say things like that? Scary Larry is a major asset to the show, and he runs out and sees a lot of this stuff really quickly. Where Larry excels in looks, I make up with my charm, so,
You've got the charm of a billy goat.
Won't you tell me what is wrong? Yeah, let's talk.
Hey, Dark Mark and Karis. Horror Chat Matt here, serving hard time at Shawshank Penitentiary. I'm listening to you and Grim Kim discuss my favorite author of all time, Stephen King books. Really got me thinking. As you said, Dark Mark, I know a lot of people feel that he doesn't always stick the landing to a lot of his books. I really enjoy all of his published work. I think I've read just about everything except for maybe some online stuff or older stuff that was a short story in a magazine. But if it's been collected, I've read it. And with that being said, I think the only work of his I really didn't like was Sleeping Beauties, which he did with his son, Owen King. And I think he really did his son a solid, as he probably just let his son use his name on the cover, because it really didn't read like a Stephen King book at all to me. As far as my favorite standalone book, I love Pet Sematary. Absolutely love it. Super creepy. As a kid growing up, I loved comic books and horror movies. So I'm a huge fan of sequels and shared universes. So my favorite series by Stephen King is The Dark Tower. I love Castle Rock as well. I love how all the stories are interconnected. Sometimes just by one sentence in a 1,000-page book, I always like to look for the little connections when I can. But yes, I love The Dark Tower. That's definitely my favorite series by him. And that's another one where a lot of people did not like the ending to that series. I consider myself one of the few that really did enjoy it. You can interpret it any way you want it to. And there's a rumor going around, or maybe not a rumor, it's been confirmed, that Mike Flanagan has the rights to make the Dark Tower series. I have high hopes for that, as I was pretty disappointed with the movie that came out a couple of years ago. I felt like they tried to do way too much in 90 minutes, and The Dark Tower is just not going to work like that. As far as his adaptations go, I don't really like a lot of the TV adaptations. I just feel like they can't nail the Stephen King of it. Movies that I really enjoy, Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, and you and Grim Kim both mentioned The Mist, I feel may actually be superior than the actual book, especially the ending to The Mist. That one really got me. Overall, I just have always been a constant reader, and I don't see that ever changing. As always, Dark Mark, keep up the great work, and always remember to check behind the Rita Hayworth poster.
Karis, look at Horror Chat Matt's crazy amount of King books. And I believe him when he says he's read them all. Yeah, I'm not a big fan with the King endings. And as far as The Mist being a better movie, Horror Chat, it's kind of, I mean, shorts, first of all, it's very hard to take any short story and make it a film. And most people do it poorly because it's a short story and was never meant to be a film or 2 hours. But The Mist is that exception. That's great. Although I really like Apt Pupil too, but the book Apt Pupil is still, that novella is still better than the film, but I did like the film. Dark Tower, I don't even attempt it. I don't think that's my cup of tea. I don't think I'd like that very much. I mean, yeah. Don't mean to judge a book by its cover. But yeah, not really a fan of that. Castle Rock, the TV series, I started watching it, and I felt myself getting lost and not remembering what was going on week to week. I think that's something I need to binge watch if you really think it's worth seeing. And or do you have to be a real huge King fan and know all the novels to enjoy it? That maybe I should, if you can tell me that, is it worth me binge watching? And I don't think there's been anything that Mike Flanagan has done that I didn't like. I seem to like all his stuff. I think he's a great filmmaker. He takes a real passion into what he's doing. So maybe that could get me into Dark Tower. I don't know. But as always, thanks so much for the call, Matt. I could probably just go on and on about different King books I've read and adaptions, and I'm sure the subject will come up at another time as more King stuff gets produced. I do know that he took away his dollar policy, like to young filmmakers that were going to do something nonprofit or maybe for school. He used to only charge $1 for basically you pay him $1 and you can make The Mist or whatever, or one of his short stories. He was doing that for a long time, and I don't think he does that anymore. Could be wrong, but I'm almost 100% sure that that's how Frank Darabont, a.k.a. the Shawshank Redemption guy, director, got noticed. Pretty sure one of his films he bought off a King for $1, which was, I think it was something out of The Night Shift that he made, was very impressive, and it got that young man on his way.
But now I know why I have always lost women to guys like you. I mean, it's not just the uniform. It's the stories that you tell. So much fun and imagination.
So before I wrap, I was going to bring up old-time radio and old-time radio stories. And do you listen to them? Have you ever heard them? What was maybe the first one you got turned on to? I'm pretty sure my mom introduced me to Sorry, Wrong Number, which was a story on suspense and probably one of the most famous, and anyone that's probably only heard one has probably heard that. That started my long journey on wanting to hear more, and boy, was there more. But in the beginning, they were tough to find. I used to go to convention shows for comic and movies and stuff, and you could find them on cassette there sometimes. And you could go to your local library. Usually they had collections there. And then Radio Spirits came out, and you could buy the cassettes and eventually CDs there. When the internet became more of a thing that everybody had and did. Then there was like an explosion. You had clubs, you had, you could download the shows. I have hundreds upon hundreds of these shows, mostly horror, but I like Westerns. I like dramas also. I have a little comedy. I have a little bit of everything. And I actually belong to some groups on Facebook. But do you listen to it? And if you do, what do you listen to? Or what was your first one? Or what are some of your favorites? I'm just curious to know, maybe for next time.
Until next time, stay on the road, keep clear of the moors, and beware the moon. But most of all, be good to yourself. This is Dark Mark, signing off. See you soon.
This is a Macabre Theater production.